Welcome. Today I'm talking about the benefits of secure attachment in the mother daughter relationship. Of course, secure attachment is important for children in all of our important relationships because it forms a foundation and gives us a base from which to explore the world. But I'm specifically addressing the mother daughter relationship in this week of videos that you'll see on this page. If you are new, you've never been here before, my name is Joanna Daniel. I'm the founder of Wounds to Scars. I work with adult survivors of childhood trauma here and women who experience abuse. And we do that through courses, conferences, and retreats. I am also a mom of three. And so I come from different perspectives when I'm talking about attachment. I see how it plays out. Sometimes I share some of my personal experiences of attachment and the work of building secure attachment in our home so that our children can have that safe space. I have enormous empathy for mothers who are trying to build or rebuild a connection. I have empathy for daughters who didn't have that connection and is working to heal without the acknowledgement of their mom. If you're a mother and you're here and you're inquiring, what must I do to fix it? I applaud you because you are a rare one. The courage that it takes to sit in the discomfort of acknowledgement and ownership of something is not easy. And so I want to applaud you for being here to learn. And so throughout this week, we will learn how to do that. So what is attachment? If you're new, and I have a lot of videos here around attachment, I have resources just for parents that I'll put below that you can access and you can go and just immerse yourself in that information and learn. But attachment is a word that is used by psychologists to describe the relationship between children and their primary caregivers. And often, as we know, mothers are nurturers. Well, I say that, but when I had my children, I wondered, well, what did they mean when they say that? Because it's a role I had to grow into. It's not something that I knew automatically. No rush of anything happened after the twins were born, and I automatically just know I had to learn and grow in many, many areas. And throughout the course of this week, I might share some of that with you. Some I might reserve for my parenting corner women, as I share some of those intimate stories around the journey of moving from knowing to doing, and what does it look like 17 years later. So that's what attachment is. So secure attachment provides a healthy foundation for children, and the world is chaotic. So we need healthy foundation for our children because it gives them a place where it builds their confidence, it builds their self-esteem, it provides a mirror of who they are. It's a deeply grounding experience for children to have the safety of knowing that who mom is and how she's going to be. Not that she's going to be unpredictable, it's confusing. I don't know who she's going to be today. Did she wake up on the right side of the bed or not? Or that they don't have to worry about those things. Now, in my last video yesterday, I talk about how to build relationships with your adult children. If you are the mom listening to this and you know that in her early life, in the early years and the teenage years, you weren't the stable, emotionally safe place or person that you are today, it's okay to admit that. I believe it's okay to admit that. I believe it's deeply validating when you've had an experience, and sometimes children will have an experience, but they can't quite put their finger on why or what. Why do I feel this way? Why am I unable to manage my emotions? And that's one of the things that comes as a result of lack of secure connection, an inability to manage emotions, an inability to regulate emotions. But when you have the conversation, and because you're coming to know and accept that you weren't the stabilizing source of support and comfort that you should have been, then when you admit that, it's really helpful to them because they know that, okay, so it wasn't just in my mind. It's something that happened. It's an experience that I had. And when you can show them that it's an experience, when you can speak of your experience, it lets them know that, oh, so I didn't imagine things. I didn't imagine things, you know? It let them know that they didn't imagine it, and that you are owning, you're accepting, and you're knowing that you're trying to fix it. It really will, because when we don't experience emotional security in our relationships, we just don't know what it's called. So the children might not know what it's called. They might just know that they're having this experience, but they don't know what the experience is. But they know they're having one. And so they know they're having this experience. They don't know what it's called. Nobody's owning it. That can be a confusing place, really confusing. And so the secure foundation that I talked about, they won't have. They'll just not know why. And so sometimes as parents, you might get upset or annoyed that they're not achieving. Why are you not achieving? I've sent you to school. I've paid for university. You have this nice home, but they're not achieving. And we don't know, and they don't know how to connect the lack of achievement to insecure attachment. Or they might not know how to connect the instability in their mental health to lack of attachment. And it's because there was no anchor in their lives. So if you're a young woman here and you're listening to this and that's your world, you might struggle to keep a job, you might struggle in your relationships, you might not be able to commit, or indeed be able to develop relationships that are boundaried. You might not know how to set your boundaries. You might not know how to honor other people's boundaries. You might feel vulnerable constantly in relationships. Sometimes the root of that is the lack of secure connection, insecure attachment. And it's good to know, because when we know, we can move from that place. So those are some of the benefits when we do the work of fixing the attachment that's been broken. Then we can have those relationships that are going to be deeply nourishing. Then we can understand our mental health better sometimes. Of course, mental health is a wider, broader subject, but we're able to manage emotions. We can regulate. When I'm upset, I know why. I can fix my upset. People who are securely attached are better at problem solving. They're better at knowing what the problem is. They're more emotionally intelligent, knowing what the problem is and is able to fix it. Now, if you are a mother and you're listening to this wondering, how do I fix it? As I say, go back to yesterday's video so you can learn and understand what are some of the things that I can do to begin to fix it. But here are some of the things that you can start to do today. You can start to give what we call good enough messages. What are some of those messages that you can give that can help to start to build this stability? And I want to acknowledge that if you're a mother wanting to do this, but nobody did it for you, it might be a little bit difficult because nobody did it for you and you want to do it for somebody else. That might be a little bit tricky. So, but if you weren't poured into and you're attempting to pour into somebody, I always discuss getting help for yourself so that you can fill the void in you. You can understand the void in you and you can begin to fill it. So when you're giving, you're not giving from a place that is empty. You're giving from a place that is filled up, right? So read books, beautiful books that are available on how to be compassionate with yourself as you heal, how to understand it, how to release shame, and how to fill in. So those are the things that will help to fill you up so that you can really give those messages from a good place. Otherwise, you really won't be able to see her the way she wants to be seen because there will be still a deficit for you. So when you've started to fill those spaces by healing you and understanding your deficits, then you can do it from some of those messages of I love you. How do we say I love you? There are many people who can't say I love you in words, but we'll do it in actions. Like you'll go over, you'll babysit if they're children, you'll cook, you'll clean, you'll get the groceries, you'll do all the things But that might not say I love you, because that might not be how she experiences love. So to say I love you in a language that she can understand, it might mean getting to know her a little bit better so you can know what resonates with her, so you can tell her you love her. So for example, you might know that she eats a lot of bread. I'm going to buy bread. But she might love sun-dried tomato and olive bread, right? But you buy just wholemeal and or bagels, and it just doesn't resonate. Or you might buy bagels and she wants croissants, and it just doesn't resonate with her. So there's a disconnect. And so the bagels that you bought are not being eaten because you don't really like them. But if you get to know her, you'll get to know what she likes, and then you can give what she likes. And those are the things that say I love you and I care about you. When you're doing it in a way that resonates with the person, they get to understand it. Then it means something to them. Then otherwise it really doesn't mean anything, right? So, or if you're doing flowers, you might buy lilies, but she likes roses, red in particular. So if you buy lilies and they're beautiful and they're gorgeous, and she might be grateful, but she's not really excited about them. And you're sad because you just spent a lot of money buying these lilies and you wanted her to be grateful, but she's grateful, but she's not excited. But then you turn up with a bouquet of red roses and she is excited because that speaks to her. But you can't do that if you don't know. So get to know her so you can say I love you in words and in actions in a way that is deeply impacting and resonating for her. And so what you're doing with those actions is helping to build the foundation that will ground her, a place that she can start to understand herself from. Sometimes I talk to mothers who are concerned about their daughters. They're concerned about the relationships that they're in. They're concerned about work and just life and how they're managing. And sometimes we as mothers can be that stabilizing source. We anchor ourselves and then we provide support. So don't forget that we need to do that. So I love you is a source of encouragement and grounding. I am here for you. I'm not going anywhere. I know I left before. I wasn't emotionally here. I was busy. Whatever you weren't there, but you're there now. And so your consistency in not only saying it, but being it makes a difference. Of course, we want to do that in boundaries, because I have to hold this very delicate line here sometimes when I'm listening to both mothers and daughters, and sometimes I know that what's required you can't do always as mothers. And so it's really important to be able to be boundaried, and your consistency within your boundaries also builds trust. So you're not just available if you know that you can't be that. If you can do Tuesdays and Thursdays, say you can do Tuesdays and Thursdays between 1 to 3. But if you say I'm available and she calls you on a Wednesday and you're not available, and you're doing sometimes and sometimes you're not because you're so desperate to build a relationship, it's not going to build a relationship. But your honesty and your boundaries will help. Okay. So, and also finally, the last one I want to share is how you can send messages of importance. How do you let her know that she's important to you? How do you do that? You might never done it before. You might never say, I love you and you're so important to me. I'm glad that you're here. I love mothering you. I love being your mother. I'm so proud of you. You must be so proud of yourself. I think this is amazing. You're amazing. I love your hair today. Oh, wow, you're wearing something else. Have you done something different to your hair? Your face lights up. I love how you light up the room. And on and on and on. We can send those messages of importance, and how we do it in not just words but our actions, because whatever you say, you have to follow it up with actions, because it's in following up with actions that you are letting somebody know how you feel about them and how much you value them. And that value is going to be so important to them, to know that I'm valuable, and this is how I know I'm valuable. Of course, sometimes it's going to be like filling an empty cup with a drip drip drip. And if you fill an empty cup with a drip, 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 it will fill, it will full. The cup will get filled, but it will take time. And so there's a lot of patience that's required, because one drip at a time fills the cup. So your one drip might be a boundary that you set as you are figuring out how you're going to show up in her life consistently. A drip is the consistency within those boundaries. I can come, I can see you, I can answer your call, I can be there for you in these ways. And you're consistently doing it, or you're communicating when you can't. And I'm talking about adult children. If your child's younger and they're at home and you're trying to build connection with your teen daughter, your consistency in answering questions, in being available to talk, in your date evening that you're consistent about, within whatever your consistency is within the parameters that you have, sends the message of importance. And those message of importance is absolutely invaluable. They mean a lot. I know from experience, when we hear certain words as adults that was never said to us as children, it doesn't resonate. It's almost like there's a shield that it bounces off. But when we are used to hearing it, and then we hear the words, they're deeply meaningful. If you have young daughters that you haven't yet started saying these words to, start telling her now. I know in some Christian circles, it's like we're not supposed to tell them that because we want them to be humble. But if you don't tell them who they are, the world will. Who do you want them to believe? You or the world? Because the world don't love them, and they will give them a message about themselves that will be destructive. And so because you are the holding space and the grounding place and the place that she's going to learn how to do life from, it's important that she gets those really crucial messages from you.